Very good morning to you, and thanks for joining us on The Breakfast. My name is Nyamgul Agaji, and today is a Thursday morning. That means it's just one day to the weekend, and I'm sure that you're wrapping up a lot of things in your office, in your workplace, wherever you are, if your job is that of Monday to Friday. However it is, the day is a very important day. The most important day in your life is today, so make the best of it. Once again, good morning and welcome to the show. On the show this morning, we're going to look at federal government preparing to welcome deported Nigerians from the U.S. and also PDP crisis deepens over National Secretary position. We'll be looking at politics this morning. We also are going to be taking some top trending issues, and we'll go to the papers to look at what the headlines are this morning. Once again, good morning and welcome, and let's take a breather and look at the quote for this morning. Our quote this morning is from the chairman and founder of Action Coach, Brad Sugars. And he says, business is all about relationships. How well you build them determines how well they build your business. Business is all about relationships. How well you build them determines how well they build your businesses. Yeah. When you have a business, know that your customers are very important. The people who work for you are very important. If you grease these relationships well, if you maintain these relationships well, and you do well with the people who are involved, then your business will grow automatically. Business doesn't just grow. Business grows because of the amount of customers you have, the quality of customers that you have. Because you can have 100 customers that do not pay, they take on credit, your business will not grow. So it depends on the quality of customers that you have, and then the amount of customers that you have, and how well you treat these customers and the people who are working with you. No business gets into billions and trillions when you're doing it as a sole proprietorship. You are the seller, you are the buyer, you are the everything. When it comes to going to the market to get more goods, it is you that will do it. When it comes to doing anything about that business, it is yourself that will do it. No. Business grows when there are people under you that are working. Business grows when there are people who you're having some kind of relationship with. You know, a customer comes to you and you treat that customer right. The next time the customer is coming back to you and recommending maybe one more. And if that is done every day in your business, that means the business will keep growing and growing. So your relationship with your customers and the people who work with you will determine how your business will grow, because business depends on that. That's the water that you use to make your business grow. That is the fertilizer. Relationships, building relationships with the people who patronize you, the people who work for you, and everything. That is what business is. So you want your business to grow today? Just do that one thing. Build relationships with whoever is involved in that business, whether your partner, whether your customer, whether your employee. Everybody in that chain is very, very important. The most unimportant person in your business is yourself. I'm not saying that you should forget about yourself, but when you're treating other people right and you want your business to grow, your business is very important. The customers are very important. Your partners are very important. Your employees are very important. If you make them see this, then automatically all of them will be the ones now to see you as very important. So it's a symbiotic relationship. Like my people say, yeah, I know you want to know what that is. That means when the hand washes the mortar in turn washes the hand. There's also a saying like that in English. So, and I'm sure in your language you will have a version of that. So keep your relationships clean, keep your relationships oiled, keep your relationships happy and good, and then your business will grow. I hope we have all learned something today. Now we move straight to the top trending issues of this morning. The first one is that Nigeria has secured a $1.1 billion loan from African Development Bank, AFDB, to provide electricity to 5 million people by the end of 2026. According to Bayo Ononuga, Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, President Bola Tinubu announced this in a speech delivered by the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, at the Mission 300 African Energy Summit in Tanzania. He also highlighted the AFDB's $200 million investment in the Nigeria Electrification Project, which aims to provide electricity to 500,000 people by the end of 2025. The president further revealed that Nigeria is expecting an additional $1.2 billion AFDB investment, including $700 million for the Nigeria Desert to Power Program and $500 million for the Nigeria Grid Battery Energy Storage System. These initiatives are projected to provide electricity to another 2 million people. Tinubu reiterated his administration's commitment to energy access, emphasizing that reliable power is essential for Nigeria's economic growth and development. Additionally, he acknowledged the World Bank's $750 million support for expanding distributed energy access through mini-grids and standalone solar systems, which will provide electricity to 16.2 million people. Tinubu praised the efforts of the World Bank Group President Ajay Banga and AFDB President Akiwumi Adesina, as well as contributions from the UN Sustainable Energy for All, the Rockefeller Foundation, and the Global Energy Alliance for Development. The president stressed that despite Africa's abundant energy resources, millions still lack access to reliable and affordable electricity. He called for collective action to address this issue, stating that transforming Africa's energy sector is critical for sustainable development. Well, this is a very welcome development, even though anytime a loan is called, we begin to shiver and say that, why are we taking loans, all that. But the Minister for Power, Adelabu, had said that Nigeria needed, $15 million to put everything, electricity, in good shape for every Nigerian. So I do not know if this one we're looking at now, this loan and all the money is coming in, are part of this $15 million, or is it 15 billion or something? Something 15, in dollars. I can't remember the figure now. But if all of this is a starting point to getting to that point where the Minister for Power said that we're going to get to, if we get this money, it is going to be a welcome development. Otherwise, 3 million people or 5 million people or 200,000 people or whatever figure is being given is grossly inadequate in a country that is over 200 million. We should start to think about things that will benefit everybody. And I do hope that all this thing we're talking about, getting sustainable electricity and all that, will not be also the band A, band B, band C, up to band E kind of thing that we're seeing right now. So that we now know that there is a caste system in Nigeria when it comes to power. The richer you are, the better or the more electricity you will have. I thought that's what the prepaid meters were for. Everybody gets the opportunity to have this electricity, and then if you cannot pay, then you don't see the electricity in your house. But that's not the case in Nigeria. We are grouped into people who are rich, people who are a little semi-rich, people who are middle class. It's only in electricity we find middle class, because everywhere else there's no middle class. You are either poor or you are rich. So if this electricity is going to go to everybody and they're not going to select some people to form the 3 million or whatever number they're projecting are going to get this electricity, then it's fine. Otherwise, we are deteriorating into a state where we find ourselves into haves and have-nots, and then it is in your face, they put it in your face all the time that you are not rich enough to measure up with everybody else. If not, education should be for everybody. Let us go to the class and struggle it and see who does better. But now it's not like that. It's for the rich. It's getting more and more difficult Electricity is the same thing, health is the same thing, and every other thing, even security is the same thing, because you are a politician, you are a big man, and you walk around with security detail. All the policemen that should have been on the street so that the bandits will be afraid are now in houses eating good meals and securing only one person. Sometimes you'll have like 15 people in one house securing one person, and the entire community will be left alone. Bandits will operate and go scot-free. They will come with bikes. They will come with cars. It's not as if they don't have they don't have visibility. They will come with all these things, and then they do away with people. They kidnap people, they kill some people, and then nobody catches them, because all our security people are securing individuals and not the community. Imagine a community having 100 policemen. It's very difficult for bandits to come into that place. It will just be a near impossibility if a community is secured by 100 people. But imagine that same community having 2 or 3 very big men. Then you remove like 20 for each. You will have 60 people off the streets going to secure the big men, and the rest are for the entire community, which is not a very good thing. But this is not about security, this is about electricity, and we've been promised that they are going to have this loan from the AFDB, the World Bank, and they have already had some from other people and organizations to make sure we have electricity, we have power in Nigeria. Let's hope that it comes to pass in our lifetime and in the lifetime of this present administration. I'm not talking about 8 years, I'm talking about till 2027, that this will come to fruition, and that is what Nigerians are looking for. And please don't spit on our faces anymore and tell us that we are not good enough by segregating people into bands. That is a very annoying and insulting thing, but trust Nigerians, we are used to it, and then we've just kept quiet about it. But let it not happen when we're trying to make sure that electricity is for all. Let it actually be for all and be affordable. And I was particularly glad that I heard something about solar energy and all that. So the government is exploring alternative measures to make sure that we get electricity. So from hydroelectric power, we also have the one powered by gas, and now when we have solar, particularly what they said about desert to power or something like that. I am particularly happy about that. So let's wait and see. Let this government tell us the truth for the first time, and let us believe this truth, because we see working that is going on. Our second top trending issue is that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has responded to allegations of irregularities in its recent nationwide car auction. The auction, which took place between January 20 and January 27, 2025, saw bidders expressing frustration over high bids and system glitches. Many users shared screenshots on social media showing bids ranging from 1 billion naira to 330 billion naira for mid-range Lexus SUV, leading to concerns about manipulation. Several bidders accused the EFCC and its auctioneers of misconduct, claiming that winning bids were replaced with other names and that the auction website experienced technical failures at critical moments. Others alleged that some vehicles disappeared from the auction list after they had won bids. Some users also suggested that a strategy was employed where fake high bids were placed to manipulate prices and secure vehicles for pre-selected individuals. Now, in response, EFCC spokesperson Dele Oyewale has denied any wrongdoing, stating that the auction process was handled entirely by government-licensed auctioneers. He suggested that some individuals might have deliberately placed outrageous bids to disrupt the process. He also challenged the public to provide concrete evidence of compromise, emphasizing that neither he nor anyone within the EFCC had any influence over the auction results. The EFCC had earlier announced that over 850 forfeited vehicles ranging from luxury to mid-range models were up for auction across Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and Kano. The Commission maintained that the auction followed legal frameworks, including the EFCC Act, the Public Procurement Act, and the Proceeds of Crime Act. Despite the controversy, the EFCC assured the public that the process remained fair and transparent. I do not know what other evidences are sought after, because according to this report, there are people who gave screenshots of the things that they felt were discrepancies in the process. And while I may not be technical enough to know whether this is possible to have glitches or not, a lot of things are possible in Nigeria. Take, for instance, what happened to INEC, IREV, and the other machines that ordinarily should have worked, but they didn't work because according to popular opinion, there were some interests that were being oiled in the process. And so the next thing was go to court. And once you go to court, it's almost certain that there's a particular person out of the two players that will win. Government will always win in this case. So if people are talking about auction vehicles are supposed to be even cheaper than the correct price, if that's the case, because I don't know why, if I can just walk into a car stand to get a car for less than $1 billion, I will go to an auction and be struggling to get a car for over $1 billion naira. Who does that? You can always go to, if it is a Toyota, if it's Innocent, if it is a Lexus or anything, you go to the car stand or the company and order that car fresh, like we call it tearoba in Nigeria. Why would I need to go to an auction and struggle to get a car if it is going to cost more than it is going to cost when I buy it from the company itself? How can you start bidding with $1 billion naira? $1 billion naira, that is 1 million times 1,000 times for one car. I don't know if it is armored car. I don't know if it's an APC, an armored personnel carrier that you're buying for $1 billion naira. But whatever it is, we cannot put it past the process that maybe there were some manipulations. It may not actually be the fault of EFCC. I don't know for that for sure. It may not be the fault of the people who organized this auction, but there may have been some hanky-panky. If we're hearing figures like $1 billion naira for a car, there is something wrong. And if you're talking about changing of the names of the actual people that won the bid, it is also a possibility, because like I gave the instance earlier on, it has happened even in elections that we see things like this happen. You see some appointments in Nigeria, someone has been announced even that this is the person who has this appointment, and tomorrow you're seeing somebody else reporting for duty because that's the person whose name has appeared. We've seen so many of these things that this story may not be swept under the carpet and said, okay, this thing cannot happen. There are a lot of instances that things like this have happened, so we don't know. The EFCC has to go all out to prove that this was not the case, and not just saying that the process was transparent and all that. If it was transparent because you put everything in place that would make it transparent, people still found out that some things were not good enough. So find out what these things were and how true these statements are, and let Nigerians know and believe in your process. If you have people that you have pre-penciled down to get these cars, don't come to the public and tell us that you want to auction the cars. So it's a problem when we cannot trust government and its agencies. And EFCC, of all institutions, EFCC should not be giving us this kind of problems. And that also brings me to one of the stories we had some time ago about EFCC operatives that did some deals that were not good enough, and they were, was it suspended or sacked? We never got to know their names. We never got to see their photographs. But if anybody else that is not EFCC does anything, the first thing to do is put out their photographs, even before any comment on that photograph. So why can't we see the members of EFCC that did wrong? The law should be for everybody. And in fact, if EFCC exposes their people that have done wrong, in fact, that have already been sacked, then we should know that, okay, they are really, really working and everybody is equal. Don't tell us that all people are equal, but some are more equal, like in an animal farm. This is not an animal farm. If your operatives are bad, let us know them. So in this case of auctions, investigate these allegations against EFCC and not just come out and tell us the process was transparent. That was what was told us during the election, that the process was transparent and everything was done according to the law. And then we went to court, and then the court said it was true, that it was done according to the law. But you and I know that some hanky-panky went on. Okay, so that's that. Let's be able to trust you. That's the major issue now. And finally, Bayelsa State High Court in Yenagoa has sentenced 4 individuals to death by hanging for the conspiracy and kidnapping. The convicts, manager Etonzo, Daniel Deriete, Inimo Timi Rufus, and Tari Freshman were found guilty under Section 2, Subsection 1 of the Bayelsa State Kidnapping and Other Offences Law 2013. The presiding judge, Justice Patience Diri, delivered the ruling on Wednesday in a suit number YHC 43C 2021. According to the prosecution, the convicts stormed a dredging company site in Ayama Ijo, Southern Ijo local government area, intending to abduct the owner. Although their initial target escaped, they kidnapped the company's 28-year-old secretary, stealing 400,000 naira from the company's safe before taking her to their hideout. A ransom of 6.5 million naira was eventually paid for her release after 1 month and 3 days. Following her release, operatives of the anti-kidnapping squad of the Bayelsa State Police Command launched an investigation that led to the arrest of the gang leader, Etonzo, and the subsequent capture of his accomplices. During their trial, the convicts claimed their confession were obtained under duress, but the court admitted that statements, witness testimonies, and other evidence presented by the prosecution. Justice Diri found all 4 individuals guilty on 2 counts of conspiracy and kidnapping. As a result, they were sentenced to death by hanging. I don't know if the Nigerian law still recognizes death sentences, but if it still recognizes death sentences like it was in the 80s, in fact, I remember when Anini was captured, Anini incorporated and liquidated, I can't forget that. Someone was reading the 9 o'clock news. I don't know if it was Ronke Ayuba or Siene Allwell Brown, or yeah, one of them. That was reading the news, and a paper was passed to her on live TV, and it was handwritten, I presume, and the news was like that Anini had been captured. That was one of the greatest news of that time, of that decade at least. Everybody was jubilating. Apart from the death of the junta Abacha, that was the greatest news before then. People were so happy because it was a notorious killer. And after a while, they were sentenced to death, and then they faced firing squad, public firing squad. They actually were shot and killed. Now these things do not happen again. There's people who are killing our people, abducting people and killing them even after collecting ransom, might be walking free. They might go into the jail, and then after a while, so a government comes that knows them, a Joseph that knows them comes and then releases them and all that. I don't know. I don't know if it is really to our advantage, even though we want to say that no life should be taken by an individual, by a human being. But I don't know if we weigh the consequences, it's better to leave criminals to roam or to put them in jail and be feeding them with our money for having killed people, for having done all sorts of atrocities. I don't know whether if we weigh the consequences, we will say that it is better to let them be or not. Whatever the case may be. But it's a good thing that the law has taken its course and they have been sentenced to death by hanging, and I'm sure that at least 1 or 2 people will look at it and say, you know what, let me just pipe low and not do this thing I've been thinking about doing. Because if someone has been sentenced to death and you've heard the news, I'm sure if 10 people were trying to go into crime, at least 5 of them will have a rethink because they don't want to fall into that. Let actions be taken against all this. Let consequences be meted out to people who commit crime. I think we have a chance for just one more top trending issue, and that's Kogi bans daily revenue collections by unions. The Kogi state government has banned the collection of daily revenue by unions across the 21 local government areas, citing concerns over misuse of funds. Commissioner for Information and Communication Kingsley Fanwo announced the decision on Wednesday stating that while the government supports unions, it will not allow actions that conflict with the collective interest of the people. The ban follows reports of some union leaders diverting funds meant for infrastructure maintenance while imposing unauthorized dues on members. The state had introduced the Infrastructure Maintenance Levy, IML, in 2017 to ensure regular contributions from commercial vehicle operators for road upkeep. However, Fanwo lamented that its implementation has been compromised by union officials prioritizing personal gain over public welfare. Security agencies have been instructed to enforce compliance, while unions have been reminded that members' dues must be collected fairly monthly, biannually, or annually as outlined in their bylaws rather than daily. To provide relief to transport operators, the government has set new levy rates for commercial vehicles ranging from 300 naira for motorcycles outside Lokoja to 700 naira for buses within the capital. The Commissioner of Transportation and the Chairman of the Kogi State Internal Revenue Service have been tasked with ensuring a smooth transition to the new system. The government urged all stakeholders to comply, emphasizing that the initiative aims to improve infrastructure and living standards across the state. Well, it's a good thing. Kogi State, congratulations. You have taken a bold step. You've had the political will to do that. I don't know if that will work in a place like Lagos, where the mainstay is the Agbero company, as it is. The Agbero industry is a very strong one in Lagos State, and they do what they want to do. But the system is working for them, and so far there are no complaints except from the commuters, except from the passengers that have to pay a very bulky sum just because the Agberos want to make profits and all that. The Agberos are at the parks, and the Agberos at how do I call it, in the real estate, where you want to get a house, and they charge you so high, even more than maybe the landlord is thinking, because they have to have maybe a 10% cut that they call agent and agreement and damages. I wonder what that is. What is agreement? What is damages? What is agent's fee? So they will give you a house that you could have had for maybe 500,000. They give you at 1.2 million, so that the agent's fee will be high. The same thing happens at the parks where these Agberos are. They know that if the transportation is 500 naira, they know they are going to have at least 500 naira from that bus before it moves. The transportation for the fare for one person goes to the Agberos. So they cannot reduce it to 300 naira because it is 300 naira that will go to them. So they raise it up. The Agberos are making life very, very difficult for people. And if you bought a keke and you see what they spend on the road, or you bought a bike even, and you see what they spend on the road in form of tax and all the other things, just because the union wants to make money and all that, you'll be shocked. You'll be surprised at how much they make in a day if they have to pay all these levies on the road. And I really pity them. But as I pity them, I pity us too, because we are the ones that they will use to make sure they make ends meet. If a kekena pep guy, a tricycle person, will have to pay, let's say, 4,000 naira in a day, or at least 2,000 naira in a day, how many people will you have to carry to cover the 2,000 or 4,000 naira in that day? And then still, some of them are riding these tricycles for other people. So they have to make returns. And even if they are not riding for other people and it's a higher purchase, it's still like riding for other people. You have a target for the day that you have to meet. So we are the ones that will be paying. So life is very, very difficult for Lagosians. In Lagos, when you stay, someone has made a statement that the money you make in Lagos stays in Lagos. And why is that? You make money in Lagos, you put it back into transportation, you put it back into rents, and then you put it back into feeding. There's no chance of saving unless you are the kind of person who has already become big enough to make money even in your sleep. Or you are someone doing some funny businesses that will bring you a lot of money, and then climbing on the blood of other people to make sure you make money. But otherwise, if you just are an honest person and you're making money in Lagos, you might find out that all your money is going to rents, to transport, and feeding. And there's nothing else left. In fact, when you have a headache, you might have to borrow to be able to get yourself some paracetamol or take yourself to the hospitals. In fact, a lot of these hospitals that are supposed to be having a partnership with companies in the guise of HMO are not working. You go there for an operation, this paracetamol they are going to give you. You go there with epilepsy, they are going to give you paracetamol. It's just like in schools. When we were going to school, the dispensary had only paracetamol. So if you have a wound, it's paracetamol. You have a broken arm, it's paracetamol. Everything that goes to them is paracetamol. It shouldn't be that way. So Lagos money should not only remain in Lagos. Everybody's coming to look for greener pastures to make sure back home things get better. You cannot just make money and pay rents. Rents have gone up in the past 2 years. Rents have gone up at least 300% everywhere I know. I don't know other places that the rents are still the same, but in the places I know, the least is 300% hike in the rents. So how do we survive? Well, Kogi State, you've done a good thing. Follow it up and make sure that it doesn't go back. These laws that you're keeping, and let it not be that it will end in this administration, and just make sure things get better for the people of Kogi. And I hope that other places will follow suit as well. Well, those are our top trending issues. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll be looking at the papers. Stay with us.